Hey guys, welcome back. This is Vijay Vemula. This time we are going to go and look at B2B or guest users topic within Azure Active Directory. And remember, this video is part of a series of videos that we are making on Azure Active Directory. In case if you haven't seen my earlier videos, I'm going to put the links for those in the description section. Please have a look. So without waiting further, let us get into the discussion. Now, what are we going to see in this particular topic? We are going to go and understand what guest users or B2B, which is business to business, future is. And we'll see a small lab on how do we create guest users and what are the actions that which are there from the user side. And we'll also see some settings related to the guest user itself. Now, what is this Azure B2B or guest users all about? In our earlier discussion, we did see how do we create users on Azure Active Directory. A guest user or a B2B is specifically for those users who are outside your organization. Maybe you got some vendors with which you work, and few of the vendor employees may need access to your environment or access to your services or applications. Rather, creating user IDs for those type of users, you can send invitation to them by using their email address. In the sense, the user is going to go and use his own organization email address to sign up. And since you are not creating user IDs for those users, so you have very less administrative activity. Now, this allows your external users to collaborate with your organization, isn't it? And for your end user, it's almost like just a sign up process by using his email address. Now, what is the advantage you get as an administrator? Less administrative overhead. Need not have to manage the user IDs itself. In the sense, account lifecycle management is very much reduced. Then let us quickly go ahead and see how do we actually create these guest users. So I'll get into my portal. Let me log into Azure portal. And I'll get into Azure Active Directory. The creation of guest user is, or using the B2B feature, is again the same users option where you create a normal user or general user. Now here you got this option called as new guest user. Now use this option to create or invite rather your external user. Now I say that there's a guy with this name called Vijay and his email address is vijay.citrix@gmail.com. Now he is vendor for my organization and I am going to go and send an invite to Vijay so that he can create his own user ID and he can log into the environment like our normal organization users. So now it is asking me the first name, last name and some personal message. This invite, just put some message. This invite is from virtual Vemula Microsoft.com to create your AAD guest account. And like any other user, you can add groups, or you can assign roles, and then you can block user from a specific location, and all those things are very much possible. So I'll leave these things as defaults. I'm going to go and invite this guy. Okay. Now this guy with the name Vijay will now get a notification to his email address. So what I'm going to go and do is I'm going to go and use this ID, okay, and log into it. This is the same email address to which you sent what do you call it as the invite. So if you go back and log into this, now here you see an invitation for this email address. Now if you read this, organization name, domain from where this notification is getting triggered. This message was provided by the sender, not from the Microsoft Corporation, and this is a message that which you actually included. Now this invite is from virtualwebular.com to create your Azure Active Directory. Now what is that this guy has to do? He has to go ahead and accept this invitation, isn't it? Please only act on this. So there should be an option here. Give me a minute. Yeah, so I used this for a testing purpose before this, but anyway. So here is the link. He will be getting a link like this, isn't it? So he hits this link and he will be redirected to sign up, isn't it? To sign up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and enter the password, right? So now what is that it is asking? Review the permissions. It tells basically what is that you're going to do. I'm going to go and accept these permissions, right? So now hang tight, while we have access to the Azure. So now if you look into this, now this guy has got into myapplications.microsoft.com. So if you give access to any of the applications here for this user, or if you go and put this user into a group, let me quickly do that. So I'll go to this group, and maybe I will try to find a group. Let me figure it out, some applications, and then we'll see. Let me pick this maybe Evernote, and if I go to users and groups now, okay, so we can pick any of these groups. Now I'll go and pick a DG group new, and I'll add this guy. So I'm going to go and add this guy vijay.citrix@gmail.com. Right, so now he's part of this DG group new, and if you look at the access, this particular group has got access to these applications. Now let me try to refresh and see it in case if the apps are visible. If not, then I'll just log out and re-log in into myapps.microsoft.com. Right, let me re-log in. So for some reason this guy still don't see access to these things. Give me a minute. Okay, so you see access to that ID here, but what it is observed is it is taking a while for this access to get reflected. Okay, so whatever the case, so you go and give access to your guest users like you do give access to any of your users, right? So I mean, what I mean is whatever the users you create here, um, the same way you give access to your guest users. There's no difference as such. And before I wind up, so I want to take you through a couple of other very important settings, right? So here I'm in the default directory of my account, rather Azure Active Directory. I can say I'll go to these external identities. Now you got a very important setting here, okay, specifically related to your guest users. Uh, these what do you call it as settings will help you to control various aspects of the guest users itself. For example, if you look at guest user access, guest users have the same access as members. Guest users have limited access to the properties and members of the directory objects, and guest users access is restricted to the properties and members of their own directory objects, which is most restrictive. And then who can invite, right? Who can invite guest users? And you look at anyone in the organization can invite guest users, including guests and non-admins as well, right? And then you got three more settings which controls who can send the invitation. So please go through these settings once. And then there is another setting here: enable guest self-service sign up via user flows. Now there is user flows option. Just explore this. You can enable this so that your users can use user flows and sign up, right? So couple of other important options, right? So that's all I have for this video.